Welcome back to the Loveland Report and Loner Ranger Show. I am Cleve Loveland alongside Bruce Woodburn, the Loner Ranger.
That's me.
Dive into some listings real quick, Bruce. I've got some new ones, some nice ones. I've got two condominiums, one in Winter Park, one downtown. One's $199,000. They're both one bedrooms, about 700 square feet. One's right by Rollins College, has really low dues on the ones by Rollins College. They're only $250,000. The one by downtown, they are not quite, they are not that high. They're only about $350,000 on that one, but great properties. Both would rent well. You got a kid going to Rollins. Great buys there at $198,000, and one actually we just dropped the one downtown to $164,000 or $162,000. I've got a beautiful two homes in Winter Springs. One's in the Highlands in a subdivision.
Beautiful community.
Third acre lot. The owner bought extra land behind him. No rear neighbors. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. Enormous closets in this house, $100,000 remodel. The yard is pie-shaped. You're on a cul-de-sac, so the backyard is enormous. Play set, plenty of hardscape, all these brick pavers out back, a gazebo, pool, hot tub, $510,000 for that one. That'll have a new roof on it. I've got South Bay for $1,034,000. This is 3,100 square feet in Bay Hill with a tile roof. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths with Turkish travertine floors. I don't know what the difference between Turkish travertine and regular travertine is, but travertine's expensive.
Sounds nice.
Beautiful pool, split plan, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, high ceilings, great for entertaining. All the glass doors pocket away and open up to the pool area. I've got, and this is a beautiful one here in Conway for $850,000 on an acre of property. 4 bedrooms, 4.5 baths. Main house is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, plus a den. It's about 2,200 square feet. Then there's a guest apartment. You could rent that out or throw the mother-in-law out there.
Is that on the garages?
Or the obnoxious, it's on the garages by a 2-car garage. There's side entry. There's a pool out back. Beautiful. There's a pool cabana with a bathroom and another bedroom or office, and it's got wraparound window.
$850,000, 1 acre, guys, in Orlando, Conway.
Downtown, in Conway, 3,000 square feet for that house. Needs a little bit of updating.
You can do a conventional loan. I could do a loan for you with 3 or 5% down on a conventional loan.
My next question for you, and we're going to talk about jumbo loans in a second. I've got one more. Dr. Phillips. This house looks like a old New Orleans Provincial. Look at that 2-story. That's a beautiful home. By Park Square Homes. This is in the estates of Cypress Landing, which meant you got a 3rd acre lot, side entry garage. This one has balconies across the front, 1st floor, 2nd floor, French doors leading out. Downstairs, the master bedroom's down there. They just did a $70,000 kitchen remodel. This house is 3,600 square feet, 5 bedrooms plus a bonus room. Upstairs, 3 bedrooms, Jack and Jill bath, another bathroom, wood floors throughout, travertine around the pool deck, beautiful pool, $950,000.
Turkish travertine, or they go with the regular Italian?
Out back by the pool. I'm not sure. I'll call it Turkish if you want to buy it. You come buy it. We can call it whatever you want.
Call it beef jerky.
I'll engrave your initials in the pad, in the floor, in the pool deck. But great homes right now coming on the market.
You do have some really good listings
and
there.
These homes, it's kind of a seller's market on these. There's not a lot of competition around.
Right.
And so there's some, but they're
because they are unique and in a high demand.
They are these areas. Yeah.
And that's why we're seeing some segments of the market are still sellers. Some are kind of balanced and some are buyers.
I just took 2 listings, Bruce, and they were both listed previously. And one of them was in a buyer's market. They had hundreds of competitors around them. And literally we spent a couple $1,000, promised the buyers a new roof because the seller said, well, let's negotiate that. I said, no, you got to tell them that up front. They're worried about that.
Yep.
The inside of the house did not need much work. So we did that and we adjusted the price about $5,000 downward a little bit. And the old agent had it set as appointment only. When the seller's like, well, I got a lockbox. He goes, I'm hardly ever home. They can come whenever they want.
Right.
And the other agent had it locked down thinking they were going to sell it themselves, which rarely ever happens. There's 20,000 realtors out there, Bruce. I want them all to know about my listings. I want them all to come through. So that was one problem.
And that's what you get when you go to Cleve with your listing. You see that we promote that on the radio. If you don't think that gives you additional exposure, there's not a realtor in town that can do that.
And I'd say one thing that my office will do also is now we've got to let the agents know what their compensation is, because it's not an MLS anymore since the lawsuit 8 months ago, 9 months ago.
But you pay everyone.
I pay everyone. It's always a little bit more than everybody else around too. And it's funny, one of the listings, the other listing I took, that was the problem. They were hardly paying anything to the buyer's agent. So it messed up the buyer's numbers coming in.
Well, it not only messes up the buyers, but they're actually hurt the sellers because agents don't want to sell it.
It wasn't getting shown. On that one, all we changed was the compensation. I actually raised the price to cover the difference in compensation. We sold. So if you want the right advice, you want the right real estate plan, call me 407-352-8118. And then Bruce, I want to ask you about jumbo loans.
Yep. Okay. Before that, let me give out my number. If you'd like the loan arranger, you want a jumbo, you want a first-time home buyer, you want a move-up loan, you want a reverse mortgage, you want a construction perm, renovation loan, refinance, home equity line of credit, cannabis loan, you name it.
Cannabis loan. What's that one?
We actually have a cannabis loan. I've never done one before. I'm a little afraid.
Is that for people that own the cannabis shop?
I do believe so.
Okay. All right.
So, and we actually have a client right now.
You don't have to test positive for THC in your system.
But I'm not sure how it works. I'm just a little sketchy on this one. Okay. But we actually have.
I know there's money to be made in that business,
but the loan arranger 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com. Apply online, apply in person. We can do a Zoom call, but you get full consultation with me. You get the best interest rates. We're the number one mortgage company in the country, and we keep 90% of our loans. Everything's done in-house, no broker. So I just got off the phone with a client that called me and said, Bruce, we had a meeting about 4 months ago. We had to cancel it. Things happen, but I'm trying to get my son, who's 37, into a home. But my son won't call you because he's afraid he won't qualify. So I'm like, David, here's the thing. He's probably listening right now, and his name's not David, but I call him David just because. Anyway, David, if your son will not engage, we can't help him. He's got to want it. So I'm like, if we can get him to want it, there is no one listening to me out there right now that will not qualify for a mortgage. You might not qualify today, but if you follow my directions, if you follow my directions, I will get you into a home. I promise you, all of you listening, I'll get you into a home. You just got to follow the path. And most of the time, it's not that complicated. It might be just tweaking a few things here and there, but you have to want to engage. There's no such thing as a rich renter. If you are renting right now, you are literally a tenant on the planet Earth.
I had some sellers, Bruce. They had a failure to launch in the house. They sold the house to get rid of the failure to launch. He was 29, had a decent job, but would not move.
They had to sell the house to get rid of the kid.
They decided to sell the house, and they told the kid, "Hey,
you're
not coming with us."
One-bedroom condo. Sorry, there's no room.
And I do advise people on that sometimes. You know, when the kids go away to college, I tell the sellers, if you're thinking about downsizing, now's the time. Make the house smaller. You know, I love that Lowe's commercial where the kids come home from college and they look in their room and it's a home theater now or a gym. You know, so. But for the right real estate plan, give me a call. I'll connect you with Bruce if you need a mortgage. Realtors, I can't say enough about how I know a cross-country loan through Bruce Woodburn is going to be done. He calls. That's another thing that closed that deal for that buyer we had. You called the listing agent.
Oh, several times.
Is a done deal.
Several times, yes.
Yep.
And the listing agent, she's like, well, that's not going to work, and that's not going to work. And I said, look, if you want to sell the house, I got a well-qualified buyer, and I'll guarantee I will close him in 30 days or less. I could close him in 15 if I wanted to, or I will pay your seller up to $500 a day for every day we miss the closing. And I'll tell you what, she goes, you'll what? I said, I'll pay your seller up to $500 a day for every day we miss the closing, but your seller's going to have to get right on my client's negotiation. Yeah. She goes, well, why do you want so much in closing costs? I said, because if I don't, my buyer will walk. Do you want my buyer to walk?
Yeah. Yep. So no, that's another, it's funny. I in fact, I told him to call you. I'll get you his number. There's another lender that actually did call me. That's the first other lender to call me. He had an offer on one of my listings. And then he was being a little pesky. He wouldn't stop calling me. I kept telling him to call my transaction coordinator. He kept calling me. I'm like, look, you need to go talk to Bruce about getting a job with him because you're really good. He did a good job. So, but he needs to go work for you at Cross Country. So, but I just think right now is the bottom. We're hitting it.
I think we are too.
But everybody, the reason I have a job is because you can't look up an algorithm and check a website on how to sell the house and just watch a YouTube video. We will help you with it. It's not about how many Instagram followers you have. It's not about negotiating this or that. It's not about staging the home, renting furniture from somebody else. It's not about spending $50,000 to fix the house up. Nope. It's about what's right for you and your real estate plan. And that's what we help you do. So,
Well, and here's the thing. We talked about winning in this last situation, in this scenario with our client. His name is Chase. I won't mention last name, and Alyssa. Wonderful couple. But here's the thing. It took teamwork to get this to this point.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a lay down, but we all came together to work on it. If that's what you're looking for, then you hire me and you hire Cleve to help you, because that's the difference. But here's another difference. I could not have made that guarantee to the listing agent to promise the seller that I'd pay him for every day we missed the closing if the client wasn't fast track approved. Fast track means I've already underwritten the loan. The loan's good to go. I can't miss. Unless the property fails in appraisal or inspection, or the client loses his job or something.
mm-hmm.
But other than that, that deal's going to closing. But when I make that guarantee, you win. When I mean you win, you, the listener out there, the buyer, the seller wins, because it all can come together. But Rocket's not going to guarantee that they'll pay the seller if we miss the closing. I guarantee you Wells Fargo won't pay you if they miss the closing. They can't close a deal within under 45 days anyway.
I've never seen them close one in less than 90.
Bank of America, none of them will. And a broker has no control. They can't underwrite. They can't even order the appraisal.
I love when I get pre-qual letters from those mega banks. I will call the loan rep just to mess with them. This is how I get my enjoyment. I will call them to mess with them and say, hey, I need you to close this in 30 days. And you know what I get most of the time?
What?
Stuttering, or I get dead silence. Like they don't know what to do. And they're like, well, I got to call my supervisor and I got to check back. I mean, they just don't know how. Oh, no, we can't do that. No, we're 60 days minimum. Things like that. And time is money. You want to know what's going on. That's why I like you don't make money, but there's no drive-through ATM outside your office here.
No, there is not.
You just do mortgages day in and day out.
Do mortgages.
You're not the teller that just got promoted to do the mortgages.
I'm interviewing a loan officer right now that works for Fifth Third Bank. And it's insane how unorganized the entire mortgage process is. And he's no different than Wells Fargo.
At a big bank, yeah.
Yeah, he's no different. He worked for Wells Fargo, no different than Wells Fargo, no different than Bank of America. They're relying on the bank tellers to refer the business over to a loan officer, and they can't get out of their own way. They don't know anything about mortgages. They don't know how to refer it. The follow-up systems are atrocious.
Yep.
Absolutely atrocious.
I sat I was invited to a Wells Fargo think tank. This is many years ago. And they had me and two other busy realtors in town. You know them. And they had a panel. We were in a room full of 50 Wells Fargo loan reps.
Yeah.
And we told them, I told them, all three realtors said basically the same thing. Close the loan, get it done in 30 days. Then you're reasonable to keep the buyer in touch with what's going on. Make sure they get you all their documents so we don't have all these delays.
Correct.
Realtors do not want to know their paycheck is being delayed. The buyer does not want to know they're under enough stress. They don't want to know that's going to drag on and drag on and drag on. And they said, okay, can you guys leave the room? We've got snacks outside for you. We're going to have a little session and we're going to brainstorm the best ideas we got from all your conversations. We came back in there, and the ideas that came back at us were nothing what we said. They said, well, we're going to start doing YouTube videos and we're going to get on social media and we're going to start sponsoring jazz festivals. And I'm like, did you guys even listen to what we said?
That's insane.
This was this is the head. I had one of the guys in the room was like in charge of all mortgage lending for Wells Fargo for the Southeast. And they did not get a word of what we said, did not hear anything, did not say, all right, we're going to change this. We're going to streamline this. Oh my God, it's almost like as bad as the federal government.
It's incredible. Yep. It is. And it's amazing how much these banks make. So, I mean, banks are they're cash rich, man. I'm telling you, but I don't know. If you're listening to me out there and you think your bank is the place to go for a mortgage, it's probably one of the biggest misnomers you'll ever have.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you, I would suggest that you compare me to your bank, to your credit union. As a matter of fact, when I have a client with me and we're looking at rate options, I pull up my rates. I show them my competitors' rates. I'll pull up Rocket Mortgage rates. I'll pull up their bank's rates, and we can compare them.
Yep.
And sometimes they're close to mine, but most of the time they're not. Listen, we got to cut for a break here. We don't have a sad trombone. We want to get to our exit music here. And we'll be back in 5 minutes. Give us her number real quick.
407-352-8118 or cleveloveland.com.
Yeah, or Bruce Woodburn, the Lone Ranger at 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com. And we'll be back in 5 minutes for you to register for our class.